279, what is a person's holiness?
A person is holy when the person lives according to God's commandments, according to the will of God. That means according to what the love of God has laid down for that person. When the person lives as God wills that person to live, that person is holy. No, the state of life in which a person is called will specify how the person will live it. But the state of life does not tell us the person's degree of holiness. No, it only tells us the concrete situations in which the person will be holy. The degree of holiness is measured not by your state, but by your degree of love of God and neighbor. If you were to measure according to state, then cardinals and popes would be way up on the ladder.
Right.
But suppose they don't have charity. Well, not only are they not high up, but they will be very low down, because to whom much is given, of that person much will be required.
So they're going to be held accountable more, the more authority they have.
Oh, yes. That give, and the more, not only the more authority, but the more opportunities.
Yes.
Because not all have equal opportunity to know the will of God, to learn about the saints, to learn what the church is teaching, to be near the Blessed Sacrament. You see, only God can assess adequately the opportunities the person has. But what is certain is this: that person is holier who has shown more love of God and neighbor in the concrete situation in which God has called that person.
So there's two things working here. First of all, we have to really pray that we do the will of God with our lives, because He has a plan for us. And then when we are, that's at the early stage, when a person's young, should I go be married, or should I go into religious, consecrate a single life, or whatever they want to do, their vocation. And then once they are in a vocation, once they're in a state in life, to fulfill those responsibilities in that state in life heroically for God.
Yes, the two things. Each time we are looking for the will of God.
Right.
The young person who is thinking, what shall I do in life, must not just ask, what do I want to do? Right. The more important question is, what does God want me to do? Right. What is God's plan for me? Sometimes he will need advice from parents, from the priest, confessor, spiritual director, teacher, provided that these are people of God, not self-centered people. Right. Then, when the state of life is discerned, as we say, that means when there has been a decision born out of prudence and wisdom and love of God and the gifts of Holy Spirit, and the state of life is chosen, then the individual must then live with generosity the calling in that specific way of life. That's the road to holiness.
So I think this is so good. We've talked about this before, but in other programs, but I think so often the laity feel, like you mentioned before, laity in other areas, like in law and other professions, mean that these are unprofessional people. When you say laity in the church, it seems that they're second-rate citizens of the church. No, the laity are called to fulfill their obligation in their state in life, and they can achieve great holiness in that state.
Not only they can, but they should.
Yes.
They are called, they are lay people, which means they are people of God with baptism and hopefully confirmation and Holy Eucharist, yes, who are called to live their Christian life in the family, school, hospital, law courts, United Nations, trade and commerce, industry. That's it. Their road to holiness is clear. That's that calling, that family, that club. Of course, the church also has those we call consecrated religious. We could touch that separately.